Hello everyone. Welcome to your Focus Weekly video for the module of International Relations and Internal Security. The topics which I'm going to take in this video and the things which were important from the exam point of view, the things which were in the news, the topics which I'm going to discuss is the renewed tensions in West Asia, US pressure on Iran to stop its nuclear program, and a bit about the agreement that is JCPOA, what exactly it was. Okay. So already the question has been asked on JCPOA, but still we'll discuss it again. And other than this, the geopolitics of Arctic Ocean, the issue of Katchatheevu Island, and the protest in India's neighborhood, that is in Nepal, for the restoration of monarchy, a bit about the politics of Nepal, then about India's operation after earthquake has hit in Myanmar, just the name of that operation important from pre-point of view, and our tri-service exercise with US, the name of that exercise. So many times in UPSC has asked the question about the defense exercises which we do conduct with the countries of the region and with the major players. So let's start our discussion with the first topic of our discussion, that is tensions in West Asia. First is that rising tensions in West Asia. Now, you all are well aware of this, that there is a lot of chaos, violence and instability in West Asia. Okay. To understand the politics of West Asia, first, what you need to understand is that the divisions in West Asia is on which lines. Okay. So normally, many understand that violence, chaos and instability in the region because there is a division in West Asia on sectarian line. It's not about only sectarian violence, as Islam has two main sects, that is Shia and Sunni. So division of West Asia is not only on the lines of sectarian. Okay. So division is not only on the basis of sect. Yes, it is one of the main reason for the division of West Asia, which has influenced the politics of West Asian region. The map which you are seeing is of the Shia majority states, and the Shia majority states in the region are Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, okay, the Bahrain. These are Shia majority countries. Sunnis are in minority. In rest of the countries, Sunnis are in majority with minority Shia population. So one division of West Asia is on the lines of religious sect. Okay. And the leadership of Iran has projected itself as a leader of Shia, while the monarchy of Saudi project itself as the leader of Sunni sect. The monarchy of Saudi is seen as the protector of the holiest sites of Sunni sect of Islam, that is Makkah and Medina. Okay. In fact, within the Islamic world, there is a race among the four countries to claim or project themselves as the leader of Islamic world. This is the self-proclaimed leadership. Okay. So the race in the Islamic world between the four countries to project themselves as the leader, it is in between Iran, who project itself, the leadership of Iran project itself as the leader of Shia world. As I said, Saudi Arabia. Then the Turkey, the remnant of erstwhile Ottoman Empire, and the rulers of Ottoman used to project themselves as Khalifas, supreme leaders of the Islamic world. So the present aspiration of the leadership of Turkey is to reassert itself as the leader of Islamic world. That's why Turkey is supporting this. Leaders of Turkey are supporting all the Islamic issues in the world. After the abrogation of Article 370, other than China, only country whose leadership supported or criticized India for abrogating 370 in Kashmir was Turkey. And third, the policy among the leadership of Pakistan, which is among the military leaders of Pakistan to project themselves as the leader of Islamic world, or at least the voice of the leaders of South Asia. Pakistan, what give diplomatic heft to the state of Pakistan, despite on the verge of economic bankruptcy? It is nuclear weapon. It is the only Islamic country in the world having nuclear weapon. So nuclear weapon do give a kind of political weight to the state of Pakistan. So one division of West Asia on the lines of religious sect. Other division of West Asia is on the lines of ethnicity. That is Arabs and non-Arabs. And Israel-Palestine issue is an ethnic dispute between Arabs and non-Arabs. It's a religious also, as majority Arabs are Muslims. So it's not all Arabs are Muslim, but Islam as a religion evolved from Arab land, from West Asia, and majority of Arabs are Muslim. And Israel is a non-Arab state. Jews are not seen as part of Arab world. Okay, so Israel-Palestine dispute is between Jews and Arabs. So who supports the cause of or the issue of Palestine? Mainly Arab countries. Though Iran is not a part of Arab state. Iran was Persian Empire. The people of Iran are not Arabs, they are Persian. They do not speak Arabic, they speak Persian. Their culture, their cuisine is different from Arabs. Iraq is a Arab state. So Shia of Iraq is Arab and Shia of Iran is Persian. But Iran do support the cause of Arab Palestinians because of the hatred against Israel. Okay. So the division of West Asia, first thing is on two lines, that is sect and ethnicity. Okay. Now, other than this is Iran, rising tensions in West Asia. So, again, tensions has escalated between Israel and Iran and US and Iran, as both are pressurizing Iran to stop and end its nuclear program. Iran's nuclear program is a direct threat for the integrity and sovereignty of Israel. And that is why Israel can't afford to see Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon. Okay. India is also against the nuclear program of Iran. Though India is not a signatory of NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran is a signatory of NPT. Okay. So, as Iran is a signatory of NPT, as per NPT, if you are a signatory to NPT, it means you do not aspire for acquiring nuclear. You can't aspire for acquiring nuclear weapon. But covertly, the blame of the US and the Israelis, Iran secretly trying to acquire nuclear weapon. There was a time when India voted against Iran's nuclear program in UN, which came as a shock for the leaders of Iran. According to them, India itself has acquired a nuclear weapon for the protection of its integrity sovereignty. According to India, no one is threatening Iran's integrity sovereignty through a nuclear threat. And if Iran will acquire nuclear weapon, it will going to bring it will start a nuclear race within West Asia. And if Iran will acquire, it will give more motivation to the leaders of Saudi Arabia to have its own nuclear program. So it will push nuclear arms race within West Asia. So India is also against Iran's nuclear program. Okay. Now, during the Obama administration, JCPOA was signed, that is the agreement which was signed with Iran, Joint Comprehensive Partnership Agreement. Okay, under which this agreement was signed between P5+1. P5, the 5 permanent members of UN, US, UK, France, Russia, China, plus Germany. So this JCPOA agreement was signed between P5+1 plus Iran, under which Iran leadership gave assurance that they will not go for acquiring nuclear weapon, they will not going to enrich uranium, and they will give access of their nuclear power plants to IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. Okay. And US agreed to lift sanctions from Iran. So this agreement was signed under the presidency of Obama. Though at that time also, Israel criticized that we cannot trust Iran because if we lift economic sanctions from Iran, Iran will aggressively support its proxies who are using violence against Israel and against the West. Okay. I said many things like IAEA. IAEA stands for International Atomic Energy Agency. Its motto is Atoms for Peace. So this organization is committed for the promotion of peaceful use of nuclear energy. Do check when it was constituted, which year, where is the headquarter of IAEA, how many members are there in IAEA, and whether India is a member of IAEA or not. Okay, so it is written in the Treaty of NPT that all those countries who will sign NPT will not aspire for nuclear weapon. They're giving commitment. They do not want a nuclear weapon, and they have to keep their nuclear program under the IAEA safeguard. Okay, so Iran, who is a signatory of NPT, is under the mandate of NPT that they need to give the access of their nuclear program to IAEA, and Iran was not ready to do so. This is the reason why West imposed sanctions. But when JCPOA was signed, Iran agreed for both, and US and West decided to lift sanctions from Iran. Now, once economic sanctions lifted from Iran, this gave push to the economy of Iran, and Iran started aggressively supporting its axis of resistance. Now, what is this axis of resistance? These are the violent political militias created by the state of Iran. That is Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. Hezbollah is in Lebanon, Houthis are in Yemen, and Hamas is in Gaza. These three are known as the axis of resistance created by Iran. Okay. And they are violent political militias. Political militias are the political parties having their own armed wing, and Iran backs them, and they are using violence against Israel. Hamas leadership stands for the elimination of Israel from West Asia. And that is why this is an existential threat for Israel, that nuclear weapon of Iran can reach into the hands of Hamas and the leadership of Hezbollah, who are committed for the elimination of Israel from West Asia. And that is why Israel and US can't afford to see Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon. And when Trump came to power last time, Trump unilaterally decided to came out of JCPOA, okay, and brought the Iranian economy back under sanction. Though the decision of the US was criticized by other P4+1, that it is a unilateral imposition of a US decision on Iran. Iran is complying with all the norms of JCPOA. Iran agreed to give access of its nuclear program in Iran agreed to give access of its nuclear program to IAEA. But despite that, US under Trump decided to come out of this particular deal and brought Iran back under sanctions. Okay. Now, these are the political militia, and the only state ally of Iran in the region is or was Syria under Bashar al-Assad. This is the only Shia state ally of Iran. And if you see the map of West Asia, this regime of Assad, Syria is a Sunni majority state where power was in the hands of Shias under Bashar al-Assad. And this gave Iran a Shia access till Lebanon, because Hezbollah was operating, or Hezbollah operates from Lebanon. Now, few months back, we have seen that the regime of Assad has fallen in Syria, and power has come in the hands of the Sunni rebel. And this is one of the major setback of Iran. Israel's attacks on Hamas and Hezbollah has weakened these two political militias. So right now, they want to pressurize Iran to stop its nuclear program, because at present, its political militias are all-time weak, and Iran has lost its only state ally within the region. So Israel believe, and West US believe, that at present Iran is at its weakest, and this is the time we can pressurize Iran to stop its nuclear program. Okay, so this is what all was in the news, and I hope you can understand with what I said that what exactly the JCPOA was, what are these axes of resistance, what are the reasons for tensions in West Asia, what are the reasons for divisions in West Asia. So divisions is on two lines. So Iran's nuclear program is a major concern for Israel and US. So Iran, the US and Israel want Iran to give up its nuclear program and stop giving support to its axis of resistance. Okay, Iran leadership has said that they are ready to restart negotiations and discussions within the framework which was created under JCPOA. Okay. So it was signed in 15, as I said, between Iran and P5+1. That one is Germany, and EU leadership was also involved in that. Its objective was to prevent Iran from developing weapons. According to P4+1, Iran was complying with all norms, but last time Trump came out of JCPOA unilaterally and brought sanctions back on Iran because Iran was aggressively supporting its axis of resistance. So Hamas, a threat for Israel, Hezbollah, threat for Israel, and Houthis, they were fighting against the political leadership in Yemen, who is the ally of Saudi. So Houthi threat for Saudi, and Israel and Saudi Arabia, they are the closest ally of US. The reasons for tensions between West and Iran. So 2018, Trump came out of this deal unilaterally, blaming it a flawed deal, that too much of appeasement has been done. So US came out of JCPOA. Okay. And in response, Iran decided we'll restart our nuclear program and started supporting more aggressively its proxies. So recent things which has served the interest of Israel in the region is, one, President Trump has come to power and Trump has strongly supporting the Israel's war in Gaza against Hamas. And as I said, the regime of Assad has fallen and Iran has lost its closest or only state ally in the region. Okay. Hezbollah and Hamas has weakened and Assad regime has fallen and this has weakened Iran. So Israel is feeling that this is the best time to pressurize more Iran. Okay. So, so, so Iran's strategic space is shrinking. Okay. And Israel feels it is the best time to further pressurize Iran to end its nuclear program. Okay. So in this context, this was in the news. So as an aspirant, the takeaways for you are, what you need to remember is what was JCPOA, what JCPOA stands for, signed between whom and whom. Okay. Why Iran's nuclear program is a direct security threat or threat for the integrity and sovereignty of Israel. Reasons for Israel, Iran, and US Iran tensions. What we mean when we say axis of resistance, from where Hezbollah operates, from where Hamas operates, and from where Houthis operate. Okay. So these are the things which are important for you as an aspirant from exam point of view. Okay. Next is, recently a strong protest has been witnessed in Nepal for the restoration of monarchy. So one thing what you need to understand is, one thing you as an aspirant you need to know is, what is the present political system of Nepal? Okay, what kind of political system is there? Since when this system emerged in Nepal? Earlier, Nepal was monarchy under Rana rulers, and now the demand is to restore monarchy. Means there is some other political system. When this political system emerged and why people are disillusioned with this political system and they want monarchy to be restored. Okay. So One thing, monarchy abolished in 2008 and Nepal became a federal democratic republic. Right? So monarchy was abolished and it became federal democratic republic. Elections took place in 2008 for the construction of constituent assembly. That is the assembly which will going to frame the constitution, that what kind of constitution Nepalese wants to give to themselves. For this, elections took place and constituent assembly will play the role of both parliament, the legislative body, and will frame the constitution. Earlier, they gave the deadline that by 10 they will complete this constitution making process, but it dragged, and finally new constitution was adopted in 15, and from then onward Nepal became federal democratic republic. But now people are totally disillusioned with the leaders of Nepal and they want the restoration of monarchy. Okay. So why people are fed up? Blame of corruption, power politics. Leaders are only interested in power, acquiring power, and there is inefficiency among the governance. Institutions are not working properly. The main political parties of Nepal are Nepali Congress, okay, leftist leaders, Unified Marxist Leninist. There was Nepal Communist Party, Marxist, Nepal Communist Party, Leninist. Okay, they merged to create UML, Unified Marxist Leninist. Then there is Nepal Communist Party, Moist. Okay, they agreed to end their violence and they joined the constitutional process. Okay, then there are so many other parties and people are disillusioned with almost all the parties, as we have seen the change of government very soon within Nepal. No leader was able to complete its tenure. Okay, so last 15 years these leaders have failed to provide a stable governance. Coalition governments, they are totally unstable. There is power struggle, okay, and lack of political continuity. So first thing which is challenging democracy in Nepal is political instability. Okay. Then weak institutional structure. These are the factual points that bureaucratic inefficiency, there is corruption, uh, provincial governments lack resources, means they are not transferring power in the hands of the provincial government. Then there is a issue of Madhesis. ठीक है ना? Madhesis are one of the ethnic group in Nepal who has faced discrimination and they are marginalized from the mainstream dominant people, that is Pahadis. So they have discriminated Madhesis. Madhesis promised representation in the new parliament as per their population. But the promise which was given to them in 2008 was not kept when finally constitution was adopted in 2015. And Madhesis protest that their aspirations are not being fulfilled. Okay. So because of all these reasons, Nepal has seen what? A mass protest within Nepal for the restoration of monarchy. Okay. So this is the thing which you need to know. Okay. Then the Katchatheevu controversy. Now, Katchatheevu island between India and Sri Lanka. Okay. Though for the center, Parliament has settled this dispute, but still Tamil parties claims that this issue is disputed and we need to take Katchatheevu Island back from Sri Lanka. So this issue still generates a lot of heat within the Tamil politics. So Tamil Nadu Assembly adopted a resolution urging the union government to review the Indo-Sri Lanka agreement, which was signed in 1954 by the Indira Gandhi government, in which Indira Gandhi government agreed to give the island of Katchatheevu to the government of or to Sri Lanka. And now they have Tamil Nadu Assembly, Legislative Assembly has passed a resolution that we need to take this island back. Now, what is the ground on which Tamil parties claim that the that giving Katchatheevu was unconstitutional and we need to take steps to retrieve it back? Why they consider this agreement of 1974, in which Katchatheevu Island was given, was not legal and it was unconstitutional because, as per Berubari Union case, Supreme Court has decided that in his judgment, Supreme Court has said ceding a territory requires constitutional amendment, and that needs to be passed by 2/3 majority of the parliament. Okay, to cede a territory, we need a constitutional amendment which needs to be passed by 2/3 majority. Recently, we have settled the issue of enclaves with Bangladesh when Sheikh Hasina government was there. We have settled this issue of Bangladesh through 100th constitutional amendment. But when we gave Katchatheevu, we have not done this through amendment. And that is why, according to Tamil parties, the way it has been given is unconstitutional. Though Parliament of India has settled this issue way back in 13, that issue of Katchatheevu is settled and the sovereignty and integrity of Sri Lanka falls over Katchatheevu. We do not have any claim. Sri Lankan government, it is the territory of Sri Lanka. Parliament has settled this. It was the Chief Minister, Jayalalitha. She went to the Chennai High Court demanding we need to take it back. And the 2014 Parliament, in its response to the court, has settled this issue. Now, according to the government of India, both India and Sri Lanka, they were the colonies of British, and the whole region was controlled by the British. British left, and the Sri Lankan government laid its claim over Katchatheevu. So, Sri Lankan government laid its claim over Katchatheevu, and India also laid its claim. It was never a territory of ours. It was not a territory which belongs to us, which we ceded. It emerged as a disputed issue. And Indira Gandhi government, through this agreement, settled the disputed issue. And settling a disputed issue is the sole prerogative of the executive. So, Government of India in 1974, through this agreement, settled a disputed issue. We never ceded a territory. So, as per the Government of India, this debate has settled, and Katchatheevu belongs to Sri Lanka. It is the integrity and sovereignty of Sri Lanka which falls over Katchatheevu. Okay. Why this issue keeps generating a lot of heat is because it's it's a livelihood issue for the fishing community of Tamil Nadu, because this island is in Park Strait, and our fishermen wants to go more deep into the sea, as fisheries are more, fish banks are more, fish banks are full of resources. Fish is much more in the deeper side of the Park Strait. Okay, so Indian fishermen want this Katchatheevu as they want to go deep into Park Strait for fishing. Okay, and this issue became more prominent since 2009 after the defeat of LTTE. As Sri Lankan army is able to defeat LTTE, that is Liberation of Tiger Tamil Ilam, there was a civil war going on in Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan army has defeated LTTE, and since then, the northern part of Sri Lanka has also come under the control of the Sri Lankan army, and Sri Lankan Navy is patrolling these waters more aggressively, and they have used violence against the fishermen community of Tamil Nadu, that is India, and that is why this issue has started generating a lot of heat within the politics of Tamil Nadu. Okay. So, in fact, they have not arrested, they have used direct force also against Indian fishermen. And that is why the Assembly of Tamil Nadu has passed a resolution. But we cannot take it back because Parliament has ended this debate and discussion, accepting it is Sri Lanka's sovereignty which falls over Katchatheevu. It's the island in Bay of Bengal. Okay, connects Bay of Bengal to its island in Park Strait, connects Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Okay, na? So it is under the control of Sri Lanka. You should be well aware of this. Here it is Katchatheevu near Rameshwaram, in between Sri Lanka and India, within Park Strait. Okay. An Indian fisherman wants to go close to this for fishing, and Sri Lankan Navy has used violence. That is why Tamil politicians are raising this particular issue. So Katchatheevu was administered as per of Madras Presidency. So it was the control of the British. British left and both parties laid their claim over Katchatheevu, and Indian government ended this issue by signing a maritime boundary agreement. So it was a disputed issue which was settled by executive. And according to government, executive has the sole prerogative to settle the issues of dispute. So we never ceded any territory. Yes, ceding a territory requires amendment. Okay. So it was signed in 74. We demarcated maritime boundary and India recognized the sovereignty over Katchatheevu. So Legislative Assembly of Tamil Nadu wants to declare this agreement as illegitimate, though as I said, Parliament of India has already settled this issue. Okay, na? So through this agreement, we Indian fishermen acquired the rights to dry their nets over Katchatheevu and participate there in a religious festival, right? So these rights we acquired under this particular agreement, that is Indo-Sri Lanka Maritime Boundary Agreement. So when this agreement was signed, we acquired these two rights, okay? But nowhere about the right of doing fishing is mentioned in this agreement, and this is the controversy which revolves. So under this agreement, Maritime Boundary Agreement with Sri Lanka, Indian fishermen acquired two rights: right to dry nets on the island and the right to attend the religious festival there. But whether they have the right to do fishing near this island or not, it has never been discussed under this particular agreement. Now, later, this agreement was signed in 74. And later, UNCLOS emerged, United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. And according to Sri Lankan government, as per UNCLOS, Indian fishermen has lost these rights too, as UNCLOS supersede the India-Sri Lanka Maritime Boundary Agreement. Okay. So this exactly is the issue of Katchatheevu, and since 9, it is the Sri Lankan Navy who is guarding Park Strait more strongly, and that is why 2009 onward, this issue has started generating more heat, because before 9, it was LTT who used to control this, and they never had the issue with Indian fishermen community coming deep inside the Park Strait. Okay, so that is why 2009 onward, this has become a more prominent dispute between India and Sri Lanka. So it is the 1974 agreement which is blamed for distress. So issue as such, you can understand, is not to take Katchatheevu back. It is about the livelihood issue for the Indian fishermen of Tamil Nadu to go and do fishing in these waters. It is more about that. Okay, na? As marine resources are much more rich in that side of Park Strait. So let's discuss the next topic, that is the geopolitics of Arctic Ocean. So first thing, why suddenly geopolitics is hovering in this region? Suddenly, so many states are becoming active within Arctic. The main reason, which you all understand, is global warming. And because of global warming, polar ice sheets are melting. New sea routes are emerging. And with the new technology, it is possible to extract resources. So it is to control over the emerging routes and to extract the resources from the region, due to which geopolitics has suddenly become too active in Arctic. And you can clearly see the way US has shown interest in Greenland. The issue of Greenland is in the news. And the US, after giving the offer to buy it from Denmark, is giving the threat of coercion that no matter whatever they have to do, they will acquire Greenland, they will take over Greenland, though these statements of President Trump has come under sharp criticism from all over the world because it clearly undermines the first principle of UN, that is to respect the integrity and sovereignty of the state. And Greenland as an island is the sovereign territory of Denmark. Okay. So tensions are escalating in Arctic and a geopolitical race has started in Arctic. Okay. So one thing which is important for pre is to know about Arctic Council, and in mains there can be a question on the geopolitical rivalry in Arctic. To give you a better perspective, now if we see that how the geopolitics has drifted over the seas, okay, or the geopolitics of the ocean. During the Second World War, the whole geopolitics was hovering in Atlantic. As the two sides of the Atlantic, they were on the opposite side of world conflict. So conflict was going in Europe, and the two sides of the Atlantic, they were involved in a major military conflict. So the whole geopolitics was hovering in Atlantic. This geopolitics was drifted to Indian Ocean region. So during Cold War, the geopolitics was hovering in Indian Ocean. Western countries, they acquire many islands here as military bases. Issue of Diego Garcia, last week we discussed. US acquired it as a military base. Reunion Island by France. Okay. US created a military alliance in the region, SEATO. US created a military alliance in the region, that is CENTOS, Central Treaty Organization, Baghdad Pact, Southeast Asian Treaty Organization. Okay. So geopolitics was hovering in Indian Ocean. Right now, geopolitics is hovering in South China Sea because of the rising influence of China and China's aspiration to expand its sphere of influence. China is building artificial islands in South China Sea. So geopolitics is emerging in South China region, and the geopolitics is hovering in Arctic region. Okay. And Arctic geopolitics is because of the melting of the polar ice caps. Okay. Now, India has a long history of research in Antarctic. India is not involved in Arctic race in any sense. As per the UNCLOS agreement, United Nations Convention on Law of Sea, based on the continental shelf, that how much continent's shelf extends in the ocean demarcates your exclusive economic zone. And the countries who have the continental shelf in Arctic are Russia, Canada, Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland, US because of Alaska. So US does not have much of the shelf in the region. Denmark because of Greenland. And this is the reason for US interest in Greenland. And these countries created Arctic Council. Now, India is nowhere in this region geographically, but India was given the observer status, considering the expertise we have of doing research in Antarctic, and we have our own research laboratory in the Svalbard region of Norway in Arctic. You can check the name of the research laboratories of India in Arctic and Antarctic. Okay, important. You can check that. And here is Japan also. Right? So ultimately, it is the geopolitics of the resources. And now it is possible to extract them with new technologies. New trade routes are emerging. So politics is to control these trade routes. Okay. So it is difficult to demarcate the continental shelves, and this has led to overlapping claims and rising tensions. A very interesting thing to know is, so which all countries are involved in the geopolitics of Arctic? Russia, China. Now, important thing to know. China does not have its geography. but it has declared itself as a near Arctic state. You can see how surprisingly China is declaring itself. This clearly reflects rising aspirations and the rising hegemony of China. Okay. So it has declared itself near Arctic state, right? NATO countries, because now Sweden and Finland have joined NATO. So now NATO has its interest in the region. And this has brought NATO to the Russian border, US, right? Now, India has a very consistent stand with respect to space, Arctic, and Antarctic. According to India, these regions are the repository of mankind. And these regions should not be used for resource exploitation. We should not colonize these resources. These to be used for scientific explorations for the betterment of humanity. This is what the stand of India is. So, Arctic Council set up in 1996. Its members are, these are its members. Denmark because of Greenland. I guess I said Japan. Japan is not a member of this. Okay. So these, Iceland is a member. Okay. And India is having an observer status. So these nations can exercise sovereignty over Arctic as their continental shelf extend in Arctic, and they can have they can access the resources till EEZ, but the problem is demarcation, and US wants to extend its continental shelf in Arctic through Greenland. Okay, so this is about the geopolitics of Arctic. Then this is the factual thing. What is the name of the Indo-US tri-service exercise? Tiger Triumph. Okay, so in pre there can be a question that what is the name of this exercise? Tiger Triumph. Just the factual thing. Yes, where it will take place? In the eastern side near Visakhapatnam. Okay. Indo-US, it's a military exercise? No, it's a HADR exercise, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Okay. These facts are not important at all. Okay. So what this exercise is, important to know is, it's a humanitarian assistance and disaster exercise. Where it will take? Eastern side Visakhapatnam. What is the name? Name is Tiger Triumph. So these are the factual things important. And the last thing is Operation Brahma to aid Myanmar. So you should be aware of the name of the operation which has been taken by the India in Myanmar, considering the devastating earthquake that has came within Myanmar, and we are going to take this operation under our commitment of first responder. So we are committed that we're going to be the first responder if any disaster will happen in any of the neighboring countries of our under our neighborhood first policy. Okay. So India has given this role to itself. It's a voluntary role we have given to ourselves of being a first responder in case of any distress and disaster within the neighboring regions, within the neighboring country of ours under our neighborhood first policy. So India is pursuing neighborhood first, okay, towards its immediate neighborhood, that is Nepal, Bhutan. So when earthquake came to Kathmandu, India was the first responder. In case of economic crisis in Sri Lanka, India was the first responder. In case of water crisis in Maldives, India was the first responder. And Myanmar do share borders with us, though Myanmar is Southeast Asian country. But as we share long border with Myanmar, it comes under our immediate neighborhood, and India is reaching out to Myanmar as a first responder under Operation Brahma. Okay, so these were the things which were in the news for this week. Hopefully, this discussion will help you to consolidate your content for your pre-exam. Okay, we'll continue our discussion. Whatever will be there in the news next week. Best wishes. Best of luck.